being that you don't believe in an absolute standard of truth, how do you know that your eyes are not deceiving you when you observe something?
I don't know. This is not bad faith.
I understand. I wouldn't call it bad faith. I just think, if anything, it's just expressing the unintelligibility of your worldview, where you just have to literally, if you, maybe it is bad faith, because if you actually believe that, if you actually believe that you can't know anything, then you would have to be questioning every single thing that happens ever in your life. You would have to be worried that a dragon's going to blow fire on you right now, because it could happen.
No. Wait. So, as much as possible, I'm going to harm people the least amount as possible, while also making sure that I don't contribute to society in a form of harm, right? If I become like a business owner, I become like Jeff Bezos, I'm contributing to harm because I'm maximizing my profits without helping the workers in that relationship. So that's why,
okay, and that would explain why theoretically in your worldview you would permit incest morally.
I would not necessarily permit incest morally.
There's no harm being done, right?
No, there is a harm that can be done.
Assuming it's consensual and adults and they're happy.
Wait.
The harm?
So the problem that comes is when you look at it in totality of, right? If we look at totality, right, is like if your condom fails and you get someone pregnant and you have a kid, that kid's fucked, right? They're genetically fucked. Like incest produces a biological fuckedness because like it produces more likely of like a genetic
but you're pro-choice, so why not just abort them?
Sure.
So then your issue is rectified. You're pro-incest.
Wait. It doesn't make sense just that. But then you look at the power relationships, right? Is if you look at these two consenting adults, but then if like kids who are like that and they see that happening, they're like, hey, I'm going to be doing this, and I'm going to like fundamentally is like kids doing that and the social relationships that can form from there, it's really fucked. But if you look at gay people, that same stuff doesn't happen, right? Being gay doesn't prevent you from having a job. It doesn't prevent you from like having relationships within your family and having friends and stuff. It doesn't prevent you from having economics. It doesn't prevent you from adopting and all these other aspects. So like fundamentally, show me. Like, this is the frustration for me is like, I was trying to work within your framework. I was trying to critique it, and you've kind of just tried to put this burden on me instead of deflecting.
Yeah, I'm going to do it again here in a second.
Yeah, you could try, but the problem comes.
No, I'm going to.
How do you justify natural behaviors?
How do you how about you're presupposing some sort of absolute justification, but then you already admitted that there is no such thing as universal truth. So how could there be a plausible answer to the question that you just asked? Is how do you justify? Insert anything here that doesn't just include that it aligns with your axiomatic worldview that you created yourself because you feel like it. There's no way to ground anything you say logically or factually or anything.
Well, I would propose the grounding is for my own self, my sense of self, right? My awareness of self, my understanding of the world around me. That's where I would ground my logic. It extends from myself, and I would naturally try to extend that logic and see the contradictions in people's behaviors. If people consistently do a behavior, then I would think, okay, if they're consistently performing this behavior, then it probably is in their own self-interest or their own desire to live that they would perform this behavior.
Okay, you've asserted yourself as the grounding for logic. Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me guess. Do you have the ability to read minds?
No.
So you can't know what anybody else is thinking. You may infer, but you can never 100% know what anybody else is thinking.
Okay.
So if I never 100% know what anybody else is thinking, I would therefore think is the only factual foundation of where I can think from where I'm coming from is from myself, right? Is you, even as a Christian, you may even think like, I can never fully read anybody else's minds, but I feel the influence of like the Holy Spirit commanding to me. Something is acting upon me. Something is like influencing my perception. So therefore, I must think that there is some kind of influence of some aspect. What is that aspect? It is God. And so you would think, even from like my perspective to your perspective, you would still say,
dude, stop, listen. You've asserted yourself as the grounding for your logic. So, and that I guess that would imply for the universe surrounding you as well.
Generally, yeah.
Okay,
that's how empiricism works.
Are you omniscient? Are you all knowing?
No, I'm not. I
don't. So then, how could you know? How could you know anything is correct?
Well, I would. Have you heard of science? So basically, as we observe,
how could you know that science is correct?
Well, we would see a observation to hypothesis and see if that hypothesis is like continued through like with the results, right? We observe the results, we see any possible failures with the results, and see if it's consistency. So if it's consistently working through observation hypothesis to result, then we would indicate if this is a consistent pattern behavior, then we're saying as far as we understand or through our own sense of logic, our own sense of reasoning, we would say this is how it works. And then from there, we would say, okay, this is how it works from my perspective. And then you would say, okay, this information, give it to somebody else. Like this is how science works.
Science just makes observations, or using our observations, we make inferences on how the world works, but it's not ultimate, because there has to be something beyond science that grounds science to remain science.
You're
so
making
hang on. Listen,
you gotta let him finish, Wordy.
Okay.
What is it that is ultimate in our universe that grounds science to remain absolute in what you deem to be consistent?
There is nothing ultimate in the universe.
Okay, so then how do you know that science is the correct measure to go on?
Well, I would say is if I perform this behavior, right? Even if I take it from my own individual perspective, right? I'm an individual. I say, oh, if I stab myself with a pencil, it will hurt. I'm like, okay, if I want to demonstrate this, I'm going to stab myself with a pencil. I stab myself with a pencil.
How do you know that it will hurt tomorrow?
I don't know if it will hurt tomorrow.
Okay.
And if it hurts tomorrow, then I can say, okay, if it's still hurting tomorrow, I say, okay, so if this is still hurting tomorrow, then maybe at some point, how much I stab myself determines how much it's going to hurt. So that's kind of that's literally how you work, right? Is like you look at the world around you and you see a person performing behavior, saying, okay, if that person's performing the behavior,
you got to give him a chance to respond to, Wordy.
Sorry.
So Wordy, what about, okay, so if I make a claim like 2 + 2 = 4, is that an absolute statement of truth?
No.
All right, I don't even know if I have to continue
just to ask, Wordy, would you consider yourself a utilitarian?
Generally.
Okay.
I thought you said you're an anarchist.
I am an anarchist.
This is what these people, they just have all these different types of
wait, you realize utilitarians also work within the framework of moral anti-rule.
Yeah. It's just all subjective and it fits arbitrarily wherever wherever it's convenient. I got that. But hang on a minute. You said that 2 + 2 = 4 is not an absolute statement of truth.
Nope.
Okay. Is there any reason you have to believe that 2 + 2 will not equal 4 tomorrow?
I don't know.
Okay, so this is actually expressing
okay, so that is kind of bad faith, Wordy.
No.
It's not bad faith because
it actually is, because he answered with "I don't know" to the question.
I'm sorry, I just responded real quickly. So, as long as nothing is contradicting the evidence of 2 + 2 = 4. As long as nothing contradicts that, then I will continue to work within that framework. As long as there is no contradiction to that empirical reality, then I won't make any other different in perspective.
Is there anything that maintains empirical reality to remain what it is?
People fact check themselves all the time. We review studies all the time to see if this empirically is continued through the data. Yeah,
but I'm asking you, like, what is it that maintains empirical reality? Is empirical reality ultimate?
I would say it's the best way we can understand more of the world. It's not perfect and it's very subjective to some extent. But if more people work together and they all empirically work together, hypothesis, observation, conclusions, result testing, if we continuously do that, we can better behave in the world around us.
How do you, so being that you don't believe in an absolute standard of truth, how do you know that your eyes are not deceiving you when you observe something?
I don't know. This is not bad faith.
I understand. I wouldn't call it bad faith. I just think, if anything, it's just expressing the unintelligibility of your worldview, where you just have to literally, if you, maybe it is bad faith, because if you actually believe that, if you actually believe that you can't know anything, then you would have to be questioning every single thing that happens ever in your life. You would have to be worried that a dragon's going to blow fire on you now, because it could happen.
No. Wait. So there's a difference between engaging in hypotheticals. Until I see possible evidence to indicate otherwise, I'm not going to accept that possible reality. I would have to see evidence. I would have to see being able to observe it, right? There is a possibility. There is always a possibility that suddenly a dragon comes and breathes on me at a random moment. There's always that possibility.
Is there actually a possibility of that?
There is always a possibility, but that doesn't mean that it will happen, right? Until that dragon comes and blows fire on me, I have to work on the assumption that it won't happen, because And that is the only demonstratable way I can exist in a society and a world around me, is what I observe. What do I observe?
Okay. So
I'm talking to you right now.
Do you believe that anything is impossible?
Anything is impossible?
Yeah, like can I like, how about this? Can there be a square circle?
I don't know.
Are you serious?
No,
can there be a square circle? Can there be a shape that is a square and a circle at the same time?
I mean, let's use an analogy here. So we talk about black holes, right? Black holes are simultaneously like compending upon each other, like through gravity. And there's like the whole idea of like time is a linear motion. But like in and black holes, even Neil deGrasse Tyson cited this himself, is in the black hole, a person that started one singular point can roll over back to the same point in time. And so the problem then comes is we have kind of just phenomenon that happen, and until there are contradictions to that phenomenon, we have to basically accept it as like this truth. But until that phenomenon is contradicted, we basically have to accept that. That's just kind of how the world around us works.
Can there be a square circle?
If there is demonstrated evidence, sure, but until then, I will not accept it.
Okay. So are you familiar with the laws of logic?
Not really.
Okay, so let's go through them. This is going to be a lesson in logic. The three laws of logic are the law of identity, law of identity, the law of non-contradiction, and the law of excluded middle. Okay, so the law of identity in this stand, the law of identity is simply placing a description or an identification on a variable in a sequence, right? So in this sequence, we've got the identity of a square. The identity of a square is that it has four sides that are equal and four right angles that are equal, right? Yeah. And then next law of logic, we've got the law of non-contradiction. The law of non-contradiction would state that if we're saying that a square necessarily has four equal sides and four equal right angles, then it cannot also not have four equal sides and four right angles. So if we were to say that A equals A, that cannot both be a true and a false statement at the same time, because necessity or contradiction wouldn't say it would necessitate impossibility. Like it can't actually be the case. Now, and then the law of excluded middle states that it either is the case or not, and there is no in between. So it's either a shape is a square or it is not. But now when we talk about a square versus a circle is simply a one-sided shape that is equidistant in measurement from the center to all edges, and it's a one-sided shape. But that's not those are not the qualities of a square. Those are necessarily contradictory to a square, because the corners of a square are further away than the middle center or the middle sides of a square. So that would necessarily contradict that a shape could be a square and a circle at the same time. Do you understand?
Sure. Okay. So
is your answer then? Can there be a square circle? Is the answer yes?
I would say generally.
Is the answer yes?
I would say no, because I would say that.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Wait. Yeah. So
could there be a square? Let me restart. Could there be a square circle?
Okay. So no. Okay. If working through your laws of logic, there would be no.
These are not my laws.
Okay. So working through the laws of logic, whatever. So basically, is if this thing until demonstrated otherwise is not this thing, right? So I'm sorry, Andrew, we got really fucking in the weeds here.
Well, I'm actually headed.
This was I let this go because it's pertinent, right? Yeah.
Well, I can
cross-examine how you logically view the world. This is a totally legitimate way to do that, and I've seen this type of cross-examination before. I think it's totally legitimate.
Yeah. So basically, the problem comes is like we can never fully like know anything, right? We can never fully know that, because there's always a possibility that if we like, I'm in the matrix, right? Maybe there's something like inputting my eyes to like demonstrate this. Like this is like what Descartes talked about a little bit, right? The only thing I can know is my own mind, and what my own mind is what is telling me. That is what I have to work on the assumption.
Okay, you said there's nothing you can know, but then you can know your own mind.
Wait, okay, so let me rephrase it. The only thing I can know is my own mind. I can never know anything outside of it.
I used to reason like this when I was like 7 years old, but I'm sorry. I don't mean to make an argument based on that. But like literally, I used to have this line of thinking when I was like a small child. But either way, is it an absolute statement of truth that a square could not also be a circle? Is that an absolute statement of truth?
I don't think it is an absolute. I think it's a subjective statement.
Okay, what reason would you have to believe that a square could also be a circle?
I don't have any reason to believe it until I'm demonstrated empirically.
Okay, what reason do you have to believe in the possibility of a square being a circle?
I don't have any reason to possibly believe in it.
Okay, so then how is that not an absolute statement of truth? Is there any possibility of the contrary?
So let me ask you a question. Humans are subjective, right? Humans are subjective.
In what?
Like, we can only interpret things through our own understanding. There is no way to objectively look at the world because we can only.
Is that an objective statement that we can't reason objectively?
I would say it is a subjective statement, but even then, like, if enough people agree to it, we can work within a subjective framework. If we subjectively think that there is no way to understand anything other than like through my own observation, and if I observe a square and I observe a circle, I observe that they demonstrate different behaviors, then I would say this is a square, this is a circle. Even then, this is not an absolute. This is instead a demonstrating of subjective.